Thank you, everyone. I'm Nafeesa from the MSB, and I'm going to be presenting a snapshot of my research titled Response of Global Stock, Bond, and Housing Markets to U.S. Macroeconomic Shocks. I mean, the mic is not working, so I hope everybody at the back can hear me. If not, just let me know. So I'll start with some background information, starting with the seminal work of Chen, Roll, and Ross, Economic Forces in the Stock Market. A number of studies have evaluated the interactions between stock market and key macroeconomic variables, both domestically and globally. There is more or less consensus in the literature that economic variables of a particular country significantly influence stock returns of the same country. Due to the preeminent position of U.S. in the world economy, studies have also been conducted to see how U.S. macroeconomic shocks affect foreign stock markets, and most of these studies conclude that shocks or macroeconomic shocks from U.S. significantly affect major stock markets across the globe. The focus of past work, however, have been almost exclusively on stock markets. Other asset classes such as bonds or housing have been largely ignored in prior work. In the light of the above, the purpose of my study is to analyze the response of global stock, bond, and housing markets to U.S. macroeconomic shocks. The countries chosen for my analysis include the developed markets across North America, Europe, and Asia, and include Canada, Australia, Japan, UK, Germany, and France. My analysis covers a period beginning January 1989 and ending in April of 2019. All right, let's look at some of my contributions. So to my knowledge, this is the first study that implements robust time series econometric techniques to investigate the impact of U.S. macroeconomic shocks on global stock, bond, and housing markets within the same econometric framework over the entire period and during episodes of financial turmoil. I'm basically evaluating two major crises, the dot-com bubble and the housing crisis. In addition, this is also the first study to perform a step-by-step comparative analysis to evaluate how different asset classes respond to U.S. shocks in major economies throughout North America, Europe, and Asia. So I'm not going to talk too much about the methodology, but I'm using a lot of time series econometric techniques. The first one is unit root and structural break tests. A priori, we're expecting structural breaks during the crisis. Long-run tests to evaluate whether long-run relationships exist among global asset classes and U.S. macroeconomic fundamentals, and to evaluate whether these linkages have strengthened over time. And then we have short-run tests that scrutinize only the crisis periods. That is, again, the dot-com bubble and the housing crisis. So I have some preliminary results. I'm kind of halfway done with this, but the long-run results suggest that all the three asset classes, stock, bond, and housing, are long-run integrated with key U.S. macroeconomic indicators. And the degree of integration has intensified over time for some of the countries. Well, what does it imply? Well, it implies that U.S. macroeconomy affects global asset classes over the long run, and the results are consistent across North America, Europe, and Asia. But the long-run tests I'm conducting are unable to scrutinize the crisis-only periods, and so periods of extreme volatility, and so we have to conduct short-run tests. And that's where I am with the project right now. So I'm running short-run tests to evaluate whether and how U.S. shocks affect asset classes during periods of high volatility. Again, I'm looking at the dot-com bubble and the housing crisis, and I'm basically addressing my research questions, some of which are, how do each asset classes react to U.S. shocks during two crisis episodes? Do the relationships intensify over time, as the financial contagion literature tends to suggest? And I'm almost done. Are the results consistent across countries throughout North America, Asia, and Europe? So that's where I am right now. I think I have 30 seconds left maybe. But thank you for your time. And BGW, I received a research award for this paper, and I'm very thankful for the award.